The rain lashed against the windows of our suburban home, a familiar rhythm to the tension that always filled the air during our family dinners. I sat across from my sister, Lily, a forced smile plastered on my face. She was talking about her new job, a small victory she was so proud of, and as usual, my parents were hanging on her every word. It was the same old story: Lily, the golden child, the perfect daughter, and me, the afterthought. I just wanted it to be over. My mother, a woman whose praise was as rare as a sunny day in this dreary season, turned to me, her eyes cold. "It's a good thing you're so practical, honey. Unlike your sister, you understand the value of $1. The comment was a jab, a subtle way of reminding me that I was a disappointment. But then, she turned to Lily, and her voice hardened. "Your sister deserves nothing, not after everything she's put us through." I froze. My mother had never said anything so cruel before. Lily looked at her face a mask of shock and hurt. I saw the tears welling up in her eyes, and a wave of something. Was it satisfaction? I'm not sure. Washed over me. I wanted to see her crumble, to finally be the one who was suffering. Later that night, I lay in bed, the words echoing in my mind. "Your sister deserves nothing." My mother's voice, a cold whisper, played on a loop. I thought of all the times Lily had gotten what she wanted, all the praise she'd received, all the love that had been showered upon her. And then, I thought of her car, the vintage Mustang she'd been saving up for since she was 16. A wave of bitterness surged through me, a dark desire to take something that was hers. It was a stupid, childish thought, but it was all I could focus on. I wanted to see her lose something she treasured, to feel a fraction of the pain I had felt my entire life. In the silence of the night, a plan began to form. It was a horrible plan, a cruel and heartless one, but in my mind it was the only way to get even. I would take her dream car. I would make her feel what it was like to have everything you've ever wanted snatched away from you. The thought made my heart race, a sick thrill that I knew I should be ashamed of, but I wasn't. Not even a little. Stay tuned for the next chapter. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on what happens next. The next morning, the city was shrouded in a thick fog. It felt appropriate. My heart was pounding as I crept out of the house, a spare key for Lily's Mustang clutched in my hand. I had found it years ago, hidden in a drawer, a forgotten relic from a time when my parents had tried to encourage her dreams. Now, it was my weapon. The car sat in the driveway, a cherry red symbol of all the things I didn't have. It was immaculate, a testament to Lily's dedication. She had polished it every weekend, spending hours making sure every inch of chrome gleamed. I felt a pang of something close to guilt as I unlocked the door and slid into the driver's seat. The leather was soft, and the scent of new car mixed with something distinctly Lily. A subtle floral perfume. I turned the key, and the engine roared to life, a deep rumble that seemed to fill the quiet street. My hands trembled on the steering wheel, and I drove away, the car's headlights cutting through the gray mist. I had no destination in mind, only a vague idea of where I would hide it. A friend of a friend had a garage on the outskirts of town, a place where no one would think to look. My phone buzzed with a text from Lily. "Have you seen my car keys?" My heart skipped a beat. She was already looking for them. I ignored the message, my resolve hardening. I had to do this. I had to see it through. The thought of her face when she discovered it was gone, the raw confusion and pain, was what kept me going. It was a sick game, and I was determined to win. As I drove, the fog began to lift, revealing the sprawling urban landscape of the city. The tall buildings, the endless traffic, the anonymous faces, it all seemed to blur together. I felt a strange sense of freedom, a thrill that came with doing something so completely selfish and unforgivable. I was in control for the first time in my life. And it felt exhilarating, even if the price was my sister's happiness. I pulled into the dusty garage, the car's tires crunching on the gravel. The air was thick with the smell of motor oil and old metal. My friend Mark, a lanky guy with a knack for keeping his mouth shut, was there to meet me. He raised an eyebrow when he saw the car. "Is this Lily's?" he asked, his voice low. "Don't ask questions," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. He just nodded and gestured to a corner of the garage where I parked the car under a large tarp. As I covered it, I felt a strange sense of unease. The vibrant red of the car was now hidden, a secret I had to keep. Back at home, the chaos had already begun. My parents were frantic, and Lily was crying, a broken mess in the kitchen. "I don't understand," she sobbed to my mother. "The keys were right there. It's like it just vanished." My mother's eyes darted to mine. "Are you sure you didn't see anything, honey?" I met her gaze, a cold, calculated lie on my lips. "I was asleep. I didn't hear a thing." The words felt like a betrayal, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of doubt in my mother's eyes, a suspicion she quickly dismissed. After all, I was the reliable one, the one who never caused trouble. The irony was not lost on me. Lily was inconsolable. She had planned a road trip with her friends, a celebration of her new job, and now it was all ruined. I watched her from a distance, the satisfaction I had expected turning into a sour, hollow feeling. I had gotten what I wanted, but the victory felt empty. The car was gone, but the pain it had caused was real, and it wasn't just Lily's. It was mine, too. I had stolen her dream, and in doing so, I had taken a part of myself. Days turned into a week, and the Mustang became a ghost in our house. Lily's sadness was a constant presence, a heavy cloud that hung over every conversation. She tried to be strong, to pretend everything was fine, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. She put up flyers, posted on social media, and talked to the police, but there were no leads. I watched it all, a silent accomplice, my guilt growing with every passing day. My parents were different too. My mother, who had always been so harsh, was now softer with Lily, trying to comfort her in a way I had never seen before. She would sit with her on the couch, her arm around her shoulder, offering words of encouragement. "It's just a car, honey," she'd say, her voice gentle. "We'll get you a new one." But Lily didn't want a new one. She wanted her Mustang. My father, who had always been distant, was now more involved, driving Lily to her job and listening to her talk about her plans. He even took her to look at new cars, but she just shook her head, a quiet desperation in her eyes. I felt a strange pang of jealousy, watching them bond, but it was mixed with a deeper sense of dread. The family dynamics had shifted, and I was no longer the one who was ignored. I was the one who was feared. I started having nightmares. I would dream of the car, its engine roaring, but the driver was always me, and the car was hurtling toward a cliff. I would wake up in a cold sweat, the feeling of dread clinging to me like a second skin. The car, once a symbol of my victory, was now a monster, a weight I carried with me everywhere I went. I had won, but I was losing my mind. If you're enjoying this story, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next chapter. A few weeks later, a new complication arose. Lily's insurance claim was denied. They said the theft was suspicious, with no signs of forced entry. I knew exactly why, but I kept my mouth shut. Lily was devastated. She had spent all her savings on the car, and now she was left with nothing. The look in her eyes was a mixture of grief and anger, a combination that made my stomach churn. She cornered me one day in the kitchen. "You know something, don't you?" she asked, her voice low and filled with venom. My heart pounded in my chest. "What are you talking about?" I said, feigning ignorance. "The keys," she said, her eyes boring into mine. "The only person who knew where they were was you, and you were so quiet that morning. Too quiet." My composure shattered. "That's a ridiculous accusation," I snapped, but my voice wavered. I knew I was cornered. Lily just stared at me, a cold, hard truth in her eyes. She didn't have proof, but she knew. And the knowledge was a physical weight, a suffocating blanket that made it hard to breathe. The family dinners were even worse now. My parents would talk about Lily's situation, about how unlucky she was, and I would just sit there, a silent spectator to my own crime. I felt like a fraud, a thief, and a liar. My friends started to notice too. I was more distant, more withdrawn. The secret I was keeping was a poison, seeping into every part of my life. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, and I couldn't stop thinking about the car. The shiny red Mustang was now a cage, and I was trapped inside. I had wanted to make Lily suffer, but I had only succeeded in making myself miserable. The victory I had craved was now a burden, and I was beginning to realize that the price I had paid for it was too high. The tension at home was unbearable. Lily stopped talking to me completely, treating me like I was a stranger. My parents, sensing the rift, tried to mediate, but it was useless. The silence between us was louder than any argument. I started spending more time out of the house, trying to escape the suffocating atmosphere. I would drive aimlessly, the city lights a blur of color, my mind a storm of regret. One night, I found myself driving to Mark's garage. I just wanted to see the car, to confront the monster I had created. I pulled back the tarp, and the car's cherry red paint gleamed under the dim light. It was beautiful, but it was a cold, lifeless beauty. It was just an object, a machine. But to me, it was a symbol of my cruelty, my jealousy, and my profound unhappiness. I reached out and touched the hood, the metal cool beneath my fingertips. I thought of all the moments Lily had shared with this car, the long drives, the road trips, the dreams she had attached to it. I had taken all of that from her. Not because I hated her, but because I hated myself. I had wanted to hurt her to feel something, anything, besides the empty void that had always been inside me. I sat in the car, the scent of Lily's perfume still faintly lingering. I closed my eyes and imagined her driving, her face lit up with a smile, the wind in her hair. The image was so vivid, so real, that it brought tears to my eyes. The girl in my imagination was happy, full of life and purpose, and I had taken that from her. I had stolen her joy, and I was left with nothing but a car and a heart full of regret. In that moment, I knew I had to confess. I had to tell the truth. I had to face the consequences, no matter how dire they were. The car was not the prize. It was the punishment, and I deserved it. The confession was a blur of tears and raw emotion. I sat my parents and Lily down, my voice trembling as I told them everything. The jealousy, the bitterness, the resentment, I laid it all out on the table. My mother's face was a mixture of shock and disbelief, and my father's was a mask of cold disappointment. But it was Lily's reaction that broke me. She didn't yell or scream. She just looked at me with a profound sadness in her eyes. "Why?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Why would you do this?" I couldn't answer her. I didn't have the words. I just sat there, my head in my hands, a broken mess. My mother started crying, and my father walked out of the room, unable to look at me. The silence was deafening, a heavy blanket of shame and regret that I knew I would have to carry for the rest of my life. I had hurt them all, and I had done it to myself. The next day, I drove the car back home. The ride was silent, a somber procession of my guilt. I parked it back in the driveway, its cherry red paint a beacon of my crime. When Lily came out and saw it, she just stood there, her eyes wide with a mixture of relief and confusion. She didn't say a word. She just walked to the car and ran her hand over the hood, a silent acknowledgement of what I had done. I expected a long, difficult conversation, but it never came. My family's reaction was more powerful than any punishment they could have given me. They didn't scream or yell. They just gave me space. The forgiveness was not a gift to be given, but something to be earned, and I knew it would take a long, long time. The weight of my actions was a heavy burden, a constant reminder of the person I had become. This is the most important part of the story. Don't miss out on what happens next. Please subscribe to the channel and leave a like to help us keep going. The following weeks were the hardest of my life. The family dinners were still silent, but the tension was different. It wasn't just my parents' disapproval. It was Lily's silent presence. She would look at me, and I would see the hurt and betrayal in her eyes, a constant reminder of my crime. I tried to talk to her, to apologize, but the words would get stuck in my throat. One day, I finally managed to say something. "I'm so sorry, Lily," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. I was so jealous, so angry. I didn't know how to deal with it. She just looked at me, a flicker of something in her eyes. "I know," she said, her voice soft. "I've always known." Her words were a dagger to my heart. She had always known. She had seen through my flimsy lies and my false bravado. She had known all along, and she had just let it be. The realization was more painful than any punishment. I had not only hurt her, I had underestimated her. She was stronger than I was, and she was the one who was truly brave. My parents started to talk to me again, but their words were cautious, their tone guarded. They were trying to forgive, but the trust was gone. It was like living in a house of mirrors, every reflection a distorted image of my past. I started therapy, a difficult and painful process of confronting my own demons. The therapist told me that my actions were a cry for help, a desperate attempt to get my parents' attention, but all I had done was push them further away. The weight of my actions was a constant presence, a heavy backpack I carried everywhere I went. I had won the battle, but I had lost the war. The car, once a symbol of my victory, was now a symbol of my loss, a constant reminder of everything I had lost. Months passed, and the family started to heal, slowly but surely. Lily and I began to talk, not about the past, but about the future. We would sit on the porch, sipping coffee, and she would tell me about her plans, her dreams. She had decided to sell the Mustang. "It's too much of a reminder," she said, a sad smile on her face. "I want to start fresh." I felt a pang of guilt, a sharp stab of regret. I had taken her dream, and now she was giving it away. But I also saw a strength in her I had never noticed before. She was letting go, moving on. I, on the other hand, was still stuck, haunted by my past. One day she invited me to go with her to a new car lot. "I want your opinion," she said, and I was shocked. She wanted my opinion? After everything I had done? We walked through the lot, looking at different cars. She didn't want a vintage car. She wanted something reliable, something practical. She had changed, and I could see it in her eyes. She was no longer the girl who wanted to be the golden child. She was just Lily, a strong, independent woman who had been through a lot and had come out of it stronger. She chose a small, black sedan. It was simple, elegant, and had a quiet strength to it. "It's perfect," I said, and for the first time in a long time, I meant it. As we drove away, she looked at me, a genuine smile on her face. "You know, you can be a good person," she said. "You just have to try." Her words were a gift, a promise of a future I had thought I had lost forever. The road ahead was long, but for the first time I felt hope. The road to redemption was long and winding. I continued therapy, slowly unpacking the years of jealousy and resentment. My relationship with my parents was a work in progress. My mother was still guarded, but she was trying. She would ask me about my day and listen when I answered. My father would still just give me a silent nod, but I knew it was a step in the right direction. Lily and I grew closer than we had ever been. We would go for drives in her new car, the miles a silent testament to our healing. We talked about everything, our childhood, our dreams, our fears. I learned that she had always been a little jealous of me too. She had always felt the pressure to be perfect, to live up to my parents' expectations, and my rebellion was something she had secretly admired. The final piece of the puzzle came a few months later. Lily came to my room, a small box in her hand. "I want you to have this," she said, her voice soft. It was the spare key to her old Mustang. She had kept it, a secret I had never known. "I don't understand," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "It's a reminder," she said, "of where we've been and how far we've come. We can't change the past, but we can learn from it, and we have." I held the key in my hand, the cool metal a symbol of our shared history. It was no longer a weapon, but a symbol of our reconciliation. I had tried to destroy her, but she had only made me stronger. I had taken her dream, and in return, she had given me a piece of her forgiveness. It was a gift I would cherish forever. The car was gone, but the lesson was here to stay. We've reached the end of the story. If you've enjoyed this emotional journey, please subscribe to our channel and like this video to support our work and help us create more stories like this. Thank you for watching.